Good evening, Los Angeles, and thank you for joining us tonight as we update you on our work to make this a safer and healthier city for all Los Angeles residents. Before we get to tonight's important announcement about public safety, I want to very briefly update you on COVID-19. And tonight is a bittersweet mix of good news and bad news, and you'll forgive me if I start with the good news first. First, our numbers are holding. Your work is working, and we're seeing the curve bending down again. This is fragile. These recoveries and these statistics can change day to day, but all of you who are wearing masks and washing hands and surfaces, keeping your distance and not gathering between households are having an impact of saving lives, and for that I thank you. Today, the county reported 2,039 new cases, bringing the total in LA County to now 176,028. 905 of those were here in the city of Los Angeles, and the county also, and most sadly, reported 17 deaths, bringing our total of fallen Angelinos to 4,375. Our hospitalizations are still high, but we have the capacity to withstand them. 2,051 people are currently hospitalized, and then across the county there are 547 available beds, including 451 acute care beds and 96 ICU beds, as well as an inventory of 1,105 available ventilators. The fact is, though, COVID-19 is still in control. So we have to fight with everything we have to wrest control back from COVID-19, to keep pushing those numbers down. This is a make or break week for COVID-19 in the County of Los Angeles. Our public health conditions remain fragile, but the COVID threat level remains at orange, and we currently have enough hospital beds, including ICU beds, to manage the city's COVID-19 and other health needs. So we are not moving to red, we are not closing any additional businesses or activities. And to keep moving in that right direction, keep doing your part. Keep wearing that mask, keep keeping that distance, stay at home whenever you can, and help us save more lives. But here's the bad news. This disease is still killing too many people. As you heard me talk about on Friday, we lost a member of the Los Angeles Police Department, Valentin Val Martinez, who died of complications due to COVID-19. He was about to be a father to twins. He leaves behind a family and loved ones who grieve his absence every minute of every day. And over the weekend, the news got even worse for our city family as we learned that the virus had taken from us LAPD firefighter and paramedic Jose Perez, 44 years of age, with three children between 4 and 14. To his family, too, we mourn and we are heartbroken. And I speak for all Angelinos when I say that we send love to their families, that your service, that your sacrifice will never be forgotten. And we lost one more angel, Gabby O'Donnell. Gabby was the mother of a dear friend of mine and brother Mayor Robert Garcia of Long Beach. She was an immigrant to this country from Peru who worked until recently as a health worker in the midst of this pandemic. And we thought she was getting better, but she took a turn for the worse this morning and succumbed to COVID-19. Her husband, Mayor Garcia's stepfather, remains in the hospital fighting this disease. 3 frontline workers and 3 angels who are fallen. I would ask you all to hold Mayor Garcia and his family and the family of our firefighter and police officer in your thoughts and prayers tonight. And for all of you who have lost somebody, we hold you as well. We're fighting against this disease as we also continue the battle against the inequities that this virus has laid bare. This weekend I was in Nickerson Gardens with the actor and activist Anthony Anderson, who was born and grew up in Nickerson. This is part of Los Angeles' commitment to equity of access to tests, to bring tests to where people are and to save lives. But long before COVID-19, we had a public health emergency in those neighborhoods of crime and death and violence. We saw in a city that had more than 1,000 homicides in a single year, and violence, as always, concentrated in communities bypassed for decades, starved of resources filled with gun violence, and the old models were not working. We started in Jordan Downs and moved to Imperial, Nickerson, San Fernando Gardens. Public housing developments, some of the largest, in fact, one of them is the largest west of the Mississippi, to begin saying we had to develop together a better way to protect life and to give opportunity to young people growing up there. Well, just like then, this is one of those moments that demands that each one of us do more. As many cities around the country struggle to figure out how to connect public safety and communities together, we draw from a reservoir here in Los Angeles of programs and policies that have been leading in the nation. We have a lot more to do, but tonight is about taking those accelerated steps forward that can continue to not only save lives, but make sure that we have co-ownership of public safety, from community members to police officers and everyone in between. We have in Los Angeles a public safety model that makes people safe wherever they are, and our goal is to make sure in all communities. It's the kind of success that we've seen with the Community Safety Partnership, with the gang reduction and youth development programs that ask for co-ownership of public safety. Don't just put that on the shoulder of police officers, but who ask each one of us to plan and to own what public safety looks like in Los Angeles. So today we take a big step forward in building on that success to ensure equity and justice and fairness for every Angelino by creating the Community Safety Partnership Bureau in the Los Angeles Police Department, named after our nationally recognized initiative that puts officers on 5-year assignments in one place to develop relationships with the people that they serve, so that police officers and community members know each other's names, so that they can sit down together and talk about their neighborhood, so that a police officer looks at her assignment not as an assignment anymore, but her opportunity to join the fabric of a neighborhood. I'm so grateful to the leaders, some of who you can see and some because of COVID-19 are safely socially distanced, but whom you will hear from tonight, who are the mothers and fathers of this program, and who are now responsible for its expansion and success. This new bureau makes CSP both a program and a philosophy. In other words, it is a set of policies and procedures and people, but is also an approach to how we police. As you'll hear, I'm sure, from Connie Rice, and as you read in the LA Times maybe today, about moving from a warrior mentality to a guardian mentality. But it isn't just about the police officers. It's about the community as well. We want every Angelino to feel secure, not only in the parks and the streets of their neighborhoods, but in the presence of those in uniform. And we want all officers to feel connected to the people they protect, and we all want a safer Los Angeles. Since its expansion to 6 new sites during my time as your mayor, CSP has delivered that not just to public housing developments, but now into neighborhoods as well, outside of the campuses of public housing. And today, we have data to back up its success. You'll hear, but UCLA found that more than 220 violent crimes were prevented in CSP zones in over a 5-year period. That's 220 murders and aggravated assaults and other violent crimes that didn't happen, that didn't devastate the lives and families of Angelinos. But more than statistics, CSP built relationships that have changed and saved lives. Police officers became mentors who influenced the direction of young people. We're here in the Tom Bradley Ballroom, and some of you have heard, but maybe many of you out there on television tonight haven't heard the story of my grandfather, who was a Mexican immigrant to this city, who got into trouble as a young man, and who was arrested by an LAPD officer who gave him a second chance. That LAPD officer was none other than Tom Bradley, who went on to become the mayor of this city, and for whom this, the highest room in this building, is named after. I don't believe I would be here today as your mayor had there not been that sort of a relationship between a young man and a police officer that changed our lives forever. CSP is doing that sort of work every single day, and the results? Less crime with fewer arrests and greater trust. What's not to love in that list? Together with the incredible city and law enforcement and civil rights and community and academic leaders here tonight, we're taking this step for a clear reason: to build on our leadership in 21st century law enforcement, rooted in greater accountability and transparency and relationship-based policing. And we see these principles in action. Today, LAPD is one of the largest departments in the country to not only have body cameras on patrol officers and train its officers in de-escalation and implicit bias that helped us cut fatal police shootings in half, and today we're 82nd out of 100 of the biggest cities in America when it comes to fatalities at the hands of police. But 2 weeks ago, we dramatically built upon that as the Police Commission passed some of the nation-leading reforms around use of force to become fully compliant with 8 Can't Wait. I wish it had gotten more coverage in the paper. Tens of thousands of people have been out on the streets demanding that sort of change, and yet, when it happened, we didn't hear much about it, but I want you to know that it happened. And we've expanded the area covered by our gang reduction and youth development programs by over 50%, a much bigger expansion than anything inside this police department, a step that reduced juvenile arrests, helped our police officers have crimes that are prevented before they happen, and interventionists to work on de-escalation. We all have to own this moment. I'm struggling with how we describe this new paradigm, but I think it's community-driven policing. It is about the co-ownership of public safety, not just by a police department, but by all of us, and a feeling that we own that mission. That's why we're creating this new bureau, to expand on a proven model, to embed this strictly into the culture of this department, and to make sure that we find those best practices and share them with every corner of this department, to institutionalize an approach and to integrate the CSP training and curriculum across the department. Because when our officers understand the experiences of the people that they serve, they are more effective at doing the hard work they took an oath to do. And when Angelinos, especially in our Black and Latino neighborhoods, trust the police officers assigned to serve them, they feel and they are safer. None of this is happening in isolation. This is part of a wider strategy of reducing force through tactics and training and the recruitment, changing cultures where we have to, as well as looking beyond policing at the way that inequities on wealth and health and education have taken African Americans in this city and poor people and folks of color across Los Angeles to a starting line far behind where others start their lives. And I'm so pleased to serve with the most progressive city council in the United States of America, where leaders have stepped forward to say, it is not time for others to lead and we will follow. We want to be at the front of that line. Not a moment to pander, but a moment to ponder, and a moment to figure out how to get this right. Luckily, we're building from a foundation. So we're taking CSP from a core pillar of this department to part of the foundation of the Los Angeles Police Department in the future. We're always learning. We need to stay humble. We need to hear where we fall short, but we have to keep demanding more and better. This is a product of trust and cooperation, a result of community and partnership and personal relationships. This is the settings where communities can co-create public safety along law enforcement. And through CSP, through our LAPD, through every program and policy we deploy, these are the values this moment demands, so we don't just miss this moment, but we meet it.